I guess most of us have been watching President Volodymyr Zelensky, and apart from some extraordinarily disgusting trolls I've seen on Twitter, most people have just been blown away by his statesmanship and leadership. And it's made me ask why this example of leadership has been so powerfully admired now. During the pandemic, I think we saw something not dissimilar with Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who managed to steer a course of strength, courage, firmness, and yet also great compassion, which was in stark contrast to the leadership that we saw in most other countries. With the Ukrainian president, he is showing determination, but also humility and a great strength in the face of adversity. And I suspect this is why he is so admired, because that kind of leadership is so missing and so wanted, let alone needed, almost everywhere else. On International Women's Day this week, I attended an event run by an organization named FemQ, a group of people advocating the strength and importance of feminine intelligence, something we all have, at least as a potential, regardless of our gender. The topic was the politics of waking up, and the main talk given by Indra Adnan emphasized the emergence of the feminine. This is the energy of interconnectedness and interdependence, of compassion and connection to nature. And while we've seen many ways in which it's been hijacked by the old dysfunctional masculine energy in our largest institutions, it is still emerging in organizations, rather in the same way in which a small flower pushes up a concrete flagstone. The Russian invasion in Ukraine is going to have enormous effects on really, I think, everybody. While countries in the West have stepped back from their rush to divide and go it alone, there are still major divisions, not least, of course, in the UK. Here, we are seeing the government hopelessly trying to tweak discredited systems instead of applying humanity and creating something new. So we're seeing real leadership personified in Ukraine, and it's accentuating the fact that it is so absent everywhere else. Last week, I walked around London during the tube strike, which had thrust everyone out onto the roads, queuing for buses in the rain. It was evident that there's a huge effort to get things back up and running again after the pandemic, to get back to normal. And as I walked, I asked myself, are we thinking strategically? What is in jeopardy now are so many of the things we have taken for granted since the end of the Second World War. Logistical supply chains, which were severely damaged through the pandemic, are now threatened by the knock-on effects of the war. The provision of our foodstuffs, our medicines, our fuels only work because of the interdependence of the systems we have created. Are we planning for the new unknowns? What has been normal may become unusual or unknown. I remember as a child, my parents still managing ration cards years after the war had ended. Are we ready for this again? We are likely to start spending a great deal more on defense. This will affect our social support systems, whilst at the same time, prices are rising across the board. Will we make the courageous decisions to invest properly now in alternative sources of energy? Global warming isn't stopping just because there's a war on. This is a time for real leadership. This leadership that Volodymyr Zelensky is modeling for us is one we all need to adopt, with its key, largely feminine elements of listening, of honest, authentic communication, of the willingness to be vulnerable, and thus courageous in the face of the unknown. My name is Thom. I'm the CEO of Serenity and Leadership, and I'll see you next week. Bye.